Hey, so in one of the videos, I mentioned that I would go through the gate option in Melda Spectral and how that could be used. But to go back all the way to the initial, method that I was using was the normal gate in Ableton. So imagine you wanted to do some ducking, so one element would suppress the other element. And that's most common in, like, let's say the kick and the bass. So whenever the kick drum hits, the bass gets pushed down in volume. So you would use a sidechain compressor. But imagine you wanted an extreme version of that effect. And what I mean by extreme is I wanted to completely remove something. Okay, for that kind of effect, I would really have to use a hard compression ratio and a really low threshold. And then maybe that would have not been so accurate. So what you can do in Ableton, and let me give you the example that I have right here. So I have a kick drum, 4x4, and I have this rolling bass, beautiful, and then I have this like neurofunk kind of bass line. So every time that this neurofunk bass happens, or any other like it, that I can all just roll onto this single audio channel, anytime it happens, I want the rolling bass to stop playing. And the way that I would do that is I would place a gate on this rolling bass, and let me enable it so I show you everything. So I would select the sidechain, and the sidechain would be this channel. So let me just rename that to neuro bass. Okay, so that neuro bass would be the actual channel for the sidechain. And then the only thing I would do differently would be this flip button within the gate. And what that does is just reverses the way the gate works. So normally, when the signal is not getting over the threshold, the gate attenuates the signal in whatever ratio. Here it's like pushing it down to the floor, so minus infinite. So if the signal doesn't reach the threshold to be loud enough to surpass it, it will be pushed down all the way into silence. What we do with the flip button is quite the opposite. So the signal is pushed down when it does surpass the threshold. The only thing that's inverse is the condition. So it basically works like a compressor would. So when the signal does surpass the threshold, it is pushed into silence, to be silent completely. Now, we're using that with a sidechain, meaning that whenever we have a signal from the sidechain surpass the threshold, the signal that is going through the gate is getting pushed down into silence. If we look at this situation right here, we have it on the rolling bass, and the sidechain is our neuro bass. So whenever we have the neuro bass happen, the rolling bass is going to completely be stopped, so silenced. So let's hear those two alone like this. Now let me show you what that looks like. You see, whenever that neuro bass happens, the other one just silences, exactly like that. Make that even faster. Nice. So that's really easy. I want an extreme effect of ducking, and I use a gate. It's much easier to produce, and this is something that I do use in Psytrance quite often. So I want to replace this rolling bass with kind of something different, like kind of a different bass element, to break up the monotony, or just like add something, unusual to happen at the beginning or end of the phrase. All I need to do is just drop in a bass onto this channel, and it will just stop whatever it needs to stop, and that's the rolling bass, because we can't have both of them play at the same time. Now, what I wanted to explain is how to do that with the Melda Spectral So I'm going to disable the gate, enable the Melda Spectral which also has neuro bass as a sidechain. When I open it, you will see that I selected the detector input to, draw the signal from the sidechain, not the actual input of the plugin. So sidechain is selected, and then we have selected as the sidechain the neuro bass, of course. So it should be the same, only when we do a normal gate right here with the threshold all the way up, we get the same result for some reason. So you see that we are getting the same result with just a normal gate. So whenever the signal, and I can just push this down all the way, doesn't matter. So whenever the signal actually plays and doesn't surpass the threshold, you don't hear the rolling bass. which is quite the inverse. And if I pull the threshold down, you see, it will allow the rolling bass to still play. So a really easy way to get the same effect without the gate if you're working in some other DAW and not in Ableton is just to place the Mspectraldynamics plugin, make sure that these are the settings, and make sure that the mode is logarithmic, right here, not linear, not squared, logarithmic, sidechain, enable the gate, you're done. And of course, choose the sidechain right here. And just to be safe, make sure that you open settings and disable this intelligent sleep on silence for both the global and the plugin. So this is how you get that effect. Now, what I wanted to do and what I was discussing is that you could use the invert function in this general parameters panel, which would actually inverse the compressed part of the signal. So how that actually works, let me try to explain it. Whenever we have a signal surpass the gate, it's being let through, okay? In this case, it's the neuro bass. So whenever this happens, just look at it like that. Whenever this happens, the gate is going to let through, it's going to allow the compressed signal to be heard. That compressed signal is basically just a copy of this, rolling bass, but in opposite phase. And when we add that to the normal bass in 50-50 ratio, meaning, same loudness as the rolling bass, we add that compressed, and it's not compressed, it's just the rolling bass inverted, they cancel each other out. So the logic here is whenever we have the neuro bass, the gate is going to place the same rolling bass, okay, just inverted in phase, and it's going to cancel out the rolling bass. That's it. Because with this invert button, the compressed, aka this dynamically treated signal is inverse. So when we add that to the original, they cancel each other out. That's what's supposed to happen. And it does with this linear phase mode. As soon as I change that to something else, on squared also works. Actually on logarithmic, it doesn't. It's actually the opposite when I go to logarithmic. I don't think that should be the case, but as I said, there is a really easy way to get the result if that is all you want. These are the settings you need. Just like, pause it right here, copy these settings. Just make sure that you've chosen your sidechain properly, and that's it. Of course, you need to push the threshold all the way up. So pause it right here, get this setting. That's all you need to actually replicate the gate setting from Ableton with the flip switch on. So yeah, I could do all of this manually, but I really prefer to use this automated system because now I can just move this bass anywhere else and it would just mute whatever it's conflicting with. That is why I like this automated system. Get files, move them here, they will just mute whatever they're conflicting with. Makes it easy to concentrate on the creative part of things without just constantly editing and deleting and editing and deleting stuff so it doesn't conflict. This makes it so much easier. I hope this is interesting or useful to anybody as it is to me. And if you guys want to learn more about music production in depth, go to mixingacademy.com. The course is 80+ hours long and it's completely free thanks to 11.org. Bye.